Hello and welcome to another episode of Munster Hunters, the only show that definitely dares to look into the eyes of streaming networks, give them the thumbs down and the middle finger saying, get out of here with your millions of hours of original content. We're going to look at a 50-year-old sitcom about a Frankenstein monster and his grotesque family. I'm Derek and I'm a Munster Hunter. Joining me as always is Keith.
Hey, my name's Keith, and I'm also a Munster Hunter, staring directly, unblinking at those streaming services.
Yes, take that, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And of course, on the other side, the Dr. Dre of Kansas, Terry. Terry, welcome aboard.
Hello. I'm Terry. I'm a Munster Hunter, and I thumbs down those streaming services so hard I just bought the box set instead of watching it streaming.
Yeah, you're like a Munster Hunter hipster. Like you bought the DVDs, but you like the crackle of the true. I mean, this was made before there was HD, before there was standard definition.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the radiation from the tube burns your skin television programming. And you like that? You like that feel, the classic that only DVD can replicate.
Yeah,
Blu-ray is too
they
clean.
didn't have upset they didn't have Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Well, I would have bought that if I'd found it. Yeah, but I'll stick with the DVDs for now. It's not quite the same, but I try to get as genuine of an experience as possible. When I watch these. So.
Terry, do you have a Laserdisc player?
Nope, I don't actually.
But you would have gone out and bought one.
I would have.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tried getting the book The Munsters, A Trip Down Mockingbird Lane by Stephen Cox. I was gonna I looked up to get a copy of it.
Is this a real thing?
Yeah, it's a real book.
Okay.
I looked up to get it, and Amazon had one copy, and they wanted $42 for it.
Oh
and
my
even
God.
eBay, it was hard to find. So I'm currently looking. It is in transit from Washington Memorial Library to my local library because I got it. I looked up and I ordered up through my library. So
Washington
hopefully
Memorial,
they'll have
in DC.
No. There's there's a network of
Oh,
libraries here in Georgia that you can basically share books from.
it's in transit.
So,
from the Smithsonian.
yeah. But even on eBay, it was hard to find a decent copy of the book or anything for a reasonable price. So I'm looking forward to getting this from the library and hopefully learning some more Munster facts.
Yeah.
As this goes on.
Man, you want more Munster facts, huh?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's 70 some episodes of the show. There's got to be a lot of facts about it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to blow the dust off those old tomes and open them up.
Blow your mind. Blow the dust off and blow your mind with
The hidden knowledge.
Munster knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before we get into season 1, episode 3 of the Munsters, we should have. I wish I had a stinger button. I'll have to put it in post. But this is what the hell do you call it, Keith?
The Munsters Almanac Fact of the Week.
The Munsters.
The Munster Hunter Almanac Fact of the Week.
Here it is, the Munster Hunter Almanac. The Munster Hunter Almanac Fact of the Week.
Each week, been trying to bring everyone a little bit of knowledge and background, either on the show or some of the people that were playing the roles in the show. This week, focusing a bit on Yvonne DiCarlo, who played Lily throughout the entire series. Interesting part in the original unaired 1964 episode, Joan Marshall was the mother, and her name was Phoebe, and not Lily. And then they switched her out. Yvonne, she was born in 1922. Started acting in 1941 and died in 1984. She was the 1987 Fanta Festival Best Actress winner for American Gothic. The Fanta Festival is a film festival Over in Italy, it is devoted to science fiction, fantasy, and horror films. Has been held annually since 1981. Just so you know what kind of level of playing field we're talking about, the 1987 Fanta Festival Best Film, Mannequin. Best Director, Mannequin. Best Actor, Andrew McCarthy for Mannequin.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And
is this the Fanta Fest? What?
Fanta Festival, Fanta,
like
festival.
The soda?
I guess, but it's a festival for science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and it's still going on today.
Does Fanta stand for something like fantasy and
yeah, probably
together
fantasy probably makes sense
at last.
Yeah, finally. also sponsored by Fanta, probably.
Yeah.
In 1959, she was on an episode of Bonanza as Lotta Crabtree, an episode called A Rose for Lotta. And in 1995, there was a Here Comes the Munsters TV movie, and she played a restaurant guest in that because it was recast with a whole bunch of different people.
When did she die?
She died it says she died in 1984.
That's what I thought.
It says she played a restaurant guest. It says 1995 on the thing there. That's
95
weird. Okay.
Or 85? 95. Huh.
Even 85, she would have died.
Well, maybe it was
they filmed it in Yeah, probably. But those are my facts about this week. Just some basic stuff about Yvonne DiCarlo, aka Lily, and how she got in on it. Oh, one other thing I did have on here is that apparently Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis they were not pleased when they heard she was going to replace Joan Marshall. They'd never met her, and they were intimidated by her reputation as a Hollywood glamour queen.
Oh, wow.
She's a bona fide movie star, Al Lewis recounted in 2003 interview for A&E's biography. We didn't think she would fit in with our brand of comedy. We were wrong.
Their brand. Woof. And you know what? I don't blame Al Lewis for being intimidated, because I would think anyone with any like community theater, like I did a production in our town in high school.
I remember that was great. You were amazing.
I saw marionettes. Anybody that has any theatrical background in any way whatsoever should intimidate Al Lewis and the Munsters.
That's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That is the Munster Hunter Almanac Fact of the Week. It
was beautiful. I feel a lot better knowing that stuff.
Yeah, it gives a little good background. People don't remember. People think of the person, go, oh yeah, that's Lily Munster, but they don't know all the other details.
No, they don't. Well,
they don't know she was intimidating on set. They don't know those things.
An award winner.
She was intimidated before she even got there. She even spent their brand of humor. Like, well, shoot, we are risking our brand of humor, but
this is a big risk, guys. Yep, big risk.
By bringing in a name that people would recognize and want to tune in to see.
Yeah.
And maybe it was like, oh God, the pressure. People are going to actually watch this. Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh.
We thought we'd get 6 episodes and die off quietly in the night. No, thank you, Mr. Munsters.
Okay, hold on a second. Oh, she died in 2007 at age 84. That would make more sense. There we go.
1984 at the age of 2007.
I have to update the almanac.
Like any good almanac, it's a living man. It's a living document. You can change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm the author of the almanac. I think I can make a change when I need to. So.
Yep.
You know, Keith, once you compile the almanac, when we're done with this, you could actually publish it.
Oh, I probably could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a market for Munsters books.
Market for Munsters. That would be a good segment, but we don't have that one yet. So instead, here comes the Munster deep dive.
Ooh, love it. Title pending, of course. Everybody's got any better ideas for that segment? Still working on it.
If you have an idea, tweet at us.
Yeah.
Instead of Munster deep dive Munsters. Whatever.
Ooh, diving with the Munsters. The Munster madness, merriment, whatever. Anyways,
Skooma, self-contained underwater Munster apparatus.
Now that's a segment.
I think that's what it is right now.
Yep, better than what we had. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, the episode we're talking about is a walk on the mild side, which that's pretty much how I live my life. So we're off to a great start already. But it was directed by Norman Abbott. He had a directing career. He's going from 1956 to 2004, and he has directed 12 Munsters episodes, which is pretty good. Quite the collection of episodes. And this was the first episode he actually did. Official episode. He also did direct the pilot, so that's fun.
Yeah. Which I thought was weird that he directed the pilot, but then didn't get to like direct the version of the pilot they actually went with.
That is weird.
Like the first episode they actually went with, because he doesn't. This is like episode 3 is where he gets his first official thing. Maybe that's because after the pilot they didn't like it and they wanted to redo it or something. I don't know, but I did find that a little different. That a little interesting.
Gave him the boot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they didn't like it. Yeah, you're right. Then once they got their formula, their comedic formula together, they realized it was so strong that nobody could ruin it. But he also directed 8 episodes of a show called The Ghostbusters. Keith, I think you're a little familiar with this show. You were messaging us about this.
I was looking up stuff on my own and did not even look that up in relation to us recording this. And then I just started looking up some details on Norman Abbott as well. And I was like, oh, look at that. 8 episodes of this weird Ghostbuster show from 1975.
Yeah, the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Not related in any way to the movie, but I guess Columbia did pay a lot of money to use the name. And it's about a couple detectives and their sidekick Gorilla. So, I mean, what would you expect from a name called Ghostbusters? This episode was written by Norm Leibman and Ed Haas. We've talked about these guys already, so I won't go too much into them. Both huge writers on the Munsters. They've been credited on every episode as being developed by them, so pretty big deals. But the guest star is Cliff Norton as Police Chief W.R. Harris.
Can I give you one more Norman Abbott fact?
Oh yeah.
Well, hell, why not?
He directed the first episode of The Munsters Today, which was a 1988 reboot that had 3 seasons and 73 episodes.
It had 3 seasons?
On what show?
Yeah, I have no idea. Probably the same one that the Munsters were on. But he did the first episode for that as well.
The Munsters Today.
So there's more than 70 episodes of the Munsters.
So it's not like a morning show, like the Good Morning Munsters or the Munsters Today? Okay.
The Munsters View. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
No, they did the whole rebooted thing with all different actors and actresses in the roles.
Well, that's fun.
And somehow got 3 seasons out of it.
That's more than this got. Yeah, dang.
Yeah.
So the guest star, Cliff Norton, he was the police chief, W.R. Harris. He's got 133 acting credits on IMDb, going from 1950 to 1994. He's in the Munsters movie, Munsters Go Home. He also played a reporter in the movie It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. I think I said enough mads in there.
That sounded right.
But it's a classic comedy. It's pretty good. And he also voiced the main character in the 1970s Hanna-Barbera cartoon called Where is Huddles?
Who's Huddles?
Yeah, that's the question. It's a comedy about football players. And he played the main man.
Mr. Huddles?
His last name was Huddles, yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
Apparently, it was a ripoff of Flintstones. I was reading some reviews. There's only 3 reviews on IMDb about this show. And all of them mentioned how this was either heavily inspired by or, if not, a complete ripoff of the Flintstones. And had a lot of the same cast even.
But so let me guess. So Huddles wakes up every morning. He goes to the toilet, and it's instead of like a giant bird, it's just about a giant football. And he lifts open the lid, and pees in it, and then he goes and he cooks his dinner or breakfast on a giant football. Like I don't know how he did Flintstones and.
I don't know. I'm sure the football was like it's a living as exactly was used as well. I don't know. Everybody was very adamant about how this was very much like the Flintstones. Maybe it was just because like the cast is the same. Like his Huddles himself, his wife was like a redhead voiced by the same person who played Wilma in the Flintstones.
And Huddles always screams like Scrabba Shabba Shoe or something like that. All right.
But I have one more thing. The weirdest thing I found on his IMDb.
And it wasn't Huddles.
It wasn't Mr. Huddles. Yeah, it was Juan. Wait, what was it? Okay, the name is so weird. Juan Ton, the dog who saved Hollywood.
Oh no.
No, I recently heard about this as well.
Really?
You heard about this? I'm assuming there's some terrible Asian slur in it.
No, it's so for a different show that I'm watching, one of the voice people on there also did a voice on, like, it was one of the listings of like a voice that they did, and I'd never heard of it until just like probably like 35-40 minutes ago.
It's about a dog. It's in 1920s Hollywood.
They saved Hollywood.
Yeah. I guess the dog makes it big. I didn't really understand what was happening. I watched the trailer and it was just ridiculous.
There's a trailer? Oh,
yeah. You go onto IMDb and look this up. The trailer is crazy. The first like 20 seconds are just a dog jumping through a wall like over and over again.
It's just like an Air Bud prequel.
Yeah, it seemed like it. The trailer makes it out to believe that Juan Ton is in love with the girl. The girl wants to make it big as an actress. Yeah, it seems like the girl gets put. It's supposed to be a comedy. In this day and age, it doesn't. Some of the stuff's a little uncomfortable with like the producers being weird to her. But it looks like most of the time that Wonton's just bursting through walls, knocking on doors, getting an interview on the radio. He must be a pretty big deal. I don't really understand what it's about. But
1976. Shecky Green is in it.
Shecky Green, Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr. There's lots of people in this movie.
Yeah, the trailer at the very end was like telling you everybody who was in it, and they're very excited about how it's like one of the greatest casts of all time for a film. Yeah, and then they didn't mention Cliff Norton. Though, so
he was the dog. He was the dog catcher.
Yeah, they didn't mention his name in the trailer.
Bruce Dern as Grayson Potchuck.
Man, all this sounds great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a classic, but yeah, I think I'm good with the trailer. At least for now.
Benedict as Man on Bus. And then Sterling Galloway is Old Man on Bus.
Old Man on Bus.
And there's lots of bus people. There must have been a big bus scene because Dorothy Gulliver plays Old Woman on Bus. Maybe it's like Speed.
Oh,
with a dog.
One
the
time
dog has to save him.
The day.
Yeah.
He bursts through the doors, grabs the bomb, and disarms it. Oh man, and that's why he saved Hollywood. Yep.
Yeah, why shoot? Yeah, the bomb was big enough to blow up Hollywood.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, Wonton. You've done it again. Oh man. Well, that was a riveting version of Skooma. Now, before we get into this episode, place your bets now. Is this the episode where the babysitter loses it? Is this the episode that breaks the babysitter by either walking in on Herman having sex? No, full frontal. Having sex, or having sex with the dog. I can't remember all of the explicit things that go on, but is this the week that the babysitter breaks?
That's the main part. Yeah.
Well, Derek, why don't you read the premise there to give everyone kind of a fair idea of what they're thinking before they place their bets?
Herman is taking short walks at the park during the night as a remedy to his stress and insomnia. When other walkers see him, they are scared, telling the police that a monster is free at the park, along with a dangerous thief.
So it doesn't sound so mild when you put it like that.
No, it doesn't.
There's a dangerous thief on the loose.
Yeah.
I mean, Herman's stressed out. Maybe some of those walks, he's walking around naked. We don't know.
It's gonna let loose. Oh, no.
Well, I do because I watched the episode. That doesn't happen. So here we go.
Okay. All right.
So this episode opens up with Lily coming down the stairs with candles, and there's some grunting off screen. And this Keith, you're right. This could have been the moment where the babysitter was broken. Lily comes around the corner, and there's Herman grunting. He's in the dark, but he's going over bills in the dark.
Yes,
You've been reading the dark again. It'll
weird
ruin
faces.
Your eyes, and then we'll have to get you another pair. So he's going over the bills. He's upset. Electricity, $103. Now, this is the second episode where Herman has complained about money, right? Fiduciary sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? Because last episode, he was like, I have to go out there and earn rent every week.
Scare up some rent.
Scare up some rent.
Right. And this week he's like $103 for electricity, which I wish I had $103 electric bill.
Yeah.
And it's because of Grandpa. Eddie has braces on his fangs. Herman is just
taxes.
There's just too much going on.
Yeah.
Herman is stressed.
Just real quick here, $103 electricity bill in 1964 is equal to a $774.25 bill today.
All right. Yeah, that's a lot of money. If I had a $700 electric bill, I'd be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know if I'd be in the dark grunting, but I'd be pissed. That's for sure.
I might if it was that much. Oh, geez.
He's stressed out. Lily's like, dude, just go for one of your walks. And then he's like, I'm going to walk around Mid-City Park. And for some reason, walking around Mid-City Park, I think got a laugh from the laugh track. I don't know why, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go for a walk around Mid-City Park. Laughter. Whatever. And then we cut.
It's their brand of humor, you know. It's just
that Lily was going to screw up. So we got the police. They're getting complaints about Mid-City Park. Maybe it was anticipatory laughter. They know what the script was, so they were already laughing. So the police are getting complaints about Mid-City Park. So they're going to increase the patrol and then tell them to pick up anyone that even looks suspicious. And then we get the thumping intro music, which is still great. 3 episodes in.
Amazing. Might be the best part about this show so far.
Not tired of it yet. I still love Herman kissing Lily on the cheek and then being like, fuck yeah. He's like,
based on how good the intro music is compared to kind of what we've been feeling for these first few episodes. Like, do you guys know can you guys think, like, are there any other shows where you're like, man, this intro music is great, but this show is just
Knight Rider?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is also a really good one there. Of course, I think Knight Rider might be a little better than you remember.
No, it is not. And I don't even have to revisit Knight Rider to know that it's not good.
Yeah. But just like some people are like, man, yeah, that Munster theme song is great. And I think maybe that's part of what puts the Munsters in like a really special like place in people's like nostalgic minds, is like, just, you know, the song is just great going right into it. It gets you on a good vibe leading into every episode.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
People are just excited. They get the commercial afterwards, and then we come back and Herman's walking around the park, and they use music quite a bit. This because he's like, yeah. He's like happy walking music.
The happiest song you've ever heard. Yeah, in his face, he's just so happy to be out there.
There's a drunk guy. He freaks out when Herman says good evening. And he doesn't just freak out, man. He climbs up a light pole. He's hammered. He sees Herman, climbs up a light pole, and just shivers up there.
And he's not just random drunk guy. Like, he's wearing a tux and a top hat, and what is he doing in the middle of the park at this point?
At first, I thought he was like a street performer, but he's just a drunk guy, because he comes back a little bit later, and he's drunk there too. And there's a lady walking a dog, and Herman walks past, and she doesn't see him. But then she gets mugged from behind by a guy with like a stocking over his face. And then and she passes out. She faints, and the dog faints. I don't know whether the dog fainting was funny, but it kind of was.
Does the guy? He just runs up. He puts his hand around her mouth, and then he takes off running again. Right? He doesn't like steal anything, or
I didn't see him take anything unless she like had like gum in her mouth or something.
I thought he like chloroformed her or something. I wasn't sure what he did. It was very weird.
Yeah, but he just takes off running. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was weird. So then there's an old lady that looks out the window, which we'll get to why this is weird in a little bit. She looks out the window and she sees Herman, and her hair, which are in braided pigtails, shoot. And this is an older woman too. It shoots straight up in the air. And then she turns around and walks over to the phone, and her hair is still up, and you can see it's like getting tugged by some strings or something. She calls. Did
you think that was a guy dressed up in like a costume?
No.
I didn't think it was a little lady. I thought it was like a guy dressed up in a costume.
No, it was an old woman, I thought.
That's what I thought. Maybe it was. I don't know. Yeah. I was too busy watching those pigtails like flop around in the sky.
Yeah, they were. But she calls the police to report a monster.
Yeah, and they plop down about the end there. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't just keep them up the whole time.
Yeah. Once she got it off her chest, she was less startled, I guess.
Yeah.
So then we cut to the next morning. Lily is making breakfast. This is a theme. They love breakfast. So she's making breakfast. She gives Eddie his breakfast in the cupboard. Herman comes down, and so does Grandpa. Lots of good mornings going on, like the time fillers, like good morning, 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 good morning to you. Grandpa wants his eggs gloomy side up, which
what does that mean?
Laughter from the can, and they're all reading the paper. And
I just think Terry, to answer your question, I think they just really push this like whole like whatever the opposite of like happy and like, you know, instead of sunny side up, he wants some gloomy side up. Like they're really pushing into like making this a huge thing, like every chance they can get.
Sure. Because
so do you think they cook it the same way though? Like, is it just they just call it that in their family? Like that's their thing?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what do they call in London? They call like the toast with the egg in it. What do they call that?
Oh,
they call it like a bird in a basket or something.
Yeah.
And over here we just call it like egg in a toast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe they call it like toasty eggy. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's something weird. So gloomy side up. And
Scotch bonnet?
What?
Is it Scotch bonnet?
I have no idea. A Scotch egg is like a it's a hard-boiled egg that's deep fried.
Oh, okay. That's probably what I'm thinking of then. Never mind. Go ahead.
It's like covered in, I don't know. So everybody's reading the paper. Big thing they must have done back then. And he's like, oh, the Angels won again. So like
classic.
All the baseball teams with that's the only one that has like a heavenly name. It's like, damn it. Those Angels.
That one.
Yeah. And so this is more what I was thinking of, like with the gloomy egg thing. I was like, so he's mad because the Angels won. So is he a Dodger fan? Or is he just doesn't like the Angels because like they're not the Devils or something like that?
Yeah, that's my guess. Then, so the front page was like, oh, here's a headline: Creature terrorizes Mid-City Park. And Lily points out the frightening headline, she says. And then Grandpa reads, last night the police received several reports of a fiendish monster roaming Mid-City Park at approximately 12:05 a.m. The 12:05 a.m. is why I thought it was weird that was an old woman was just looking out her window at that time. But, you know, hey, whatever. And Herman says, no way, that's ridiculous because I was there that time and I didn't see any fiends or monsters.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
No such thing. And Lily's like, stay away from the park, Herman.
Yeah, they'd be excited, right? Like they love all the opposite things. They should be like, oh, there's a monster. We got to go check this out. Like,
yeah, well, maybe to the Munsters, the term monster is still frightening, but what they view as a monster is different. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So Eddie wants to go with Herman the next time he goes to sea so he can see the fiends. And then Herman's like, no, you're not going with. And then for some reason, Grandpa asks for ketchup, which you assume for his eggs, but instead he just puts a straw in it and drinks it, which is
it's also served in like a Coke bottle. Yeah.
Yep. There's a Coke bottle of ketchup that he drinks out of. Strange.
With a straw.
Yep.
I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but hey,
yeah,
something.
it was weird. It was unexpected. I didn't know that's something a vampire would do. But they eat eggs, apparently.
Are they implying it's blood? Like maybe they weren't legally allowed to say
ketchup.
that?
He asked for it.
That's true.
But Herman insists he has to go for his nightly walks. It's the only thing that helps him sleep because he slept like a baby last night. And then Grandpa says this line that did not get any canned laughter. But it was obviously supposed to be a joke. Don't be such a baby about it. Lots of people have insomnia, and you don't see them losing any sleep over it.
There
wasn't even a chuckle from the canned laughter.
You're right.
Like the guy's like, nah, I can't do it. I can't reward that line.
I think that was ad-libbed by Grandpa.
I must have been.
Like the guy in charge of the canned laughter is actually an insomniac. He was not happy about that joke. That's what it sounds like.
A lover of comedy. It's like, gotta say that, man. I can't do it. But so Grandpa's like, well, what are you so worried about anyway? And Lily's like, well, we have, financial issues with the bills and a lot of the electricity that you're using. And Grandpa says, well, hey, I'm working on a big invention that'll make everyone rich. But he won't say what it is because that's how Edison stole the light bulb or electricity from him. So it implies that Grandpa invented the light bulb
in 1879.
Tesla stole it, and then Edison stole it from Tesla or whatever, however it works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would have been 80 some odd years prior to that. So if anybody's wondering how old Grandpa actually is.
Well, I mean, last episode, they say he's been around for 1,000 years or whatever, right? I think it's part of the family.
Oh, with like his 87 wives or something.
Yeah. So then we cut to lots of concerned citizens at the police station. They're all hooting and hollering. A woman said he was 9 feet tall when he was green. The drunk guy knows him, and it's the Jolly Green Giant. The drunk guy's back. I don't know why he's at the police department, but he's there. And then the woman that got mugged, his hands were ice cold. And I got a chuckle out of this because the drunk guy goes, "That's because of the frozen food he handles." Insisting that it's the Jolly Green Giant.
It's really good.
Do you think that's product placement?
I don't know. It's weird. It's none of those pop culture references. I don't know if there's any more in this one. No, there are. There's a few. But it's like weird pop culture. Jolly Green Giant must have been new at the time, is my guess.
It's a big deal back then. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that guy in a long time.
No, but I remember there used to be like the commercials were like cartoons, and they had his little son Sprout.
Oh yeah, he had a son.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. Wow.
And so anyway, everybody's all upset about this. 9 feet tall, green, eyes that are red, ice cold hands. And then the police say they do everything they can about it to catch a so-called monster. They say no press, blah, blah, blah. And then the police chief goes, "Why does this always have to happen when there's a shakeup in the department?" And he shrugs, and the chief goes to the office. We'll never find out what the shakeup is, but there's a shakeup. There's some sort of political office intrigue within the department that we just don't know about.
Maybe is that why the commissioner keeps showing up? Is it like because he's like there?
I guess I don't know, but so chief goes in the office, gets on the phone, calls for an around-the-clock stakeout of the park, and he uses a description of 9 feet tall, green with red eyes, and he's like, no, well that's why you haven't been promoted above sergeant or something like whoever's on the other line
Mulligan
calls him crazy. Yeah. And he hangs up the phone.
Yeah. What do we think Mulligan said to him?
He says, well, what would you say if someone said, look for somebody that's 9 feet tall, green, and has red eyes?
Talking about the Jolly Green Giant?
Yeah. Why don't you go back to feeding your bird, Chief?
Yeah, something like that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. That's what he does. But he whatever he says gave him shit. And he's just like, no, he rolls his eyes. So then we cut back and there's Grandpa's invention. He's explaining it. It's an enlarging machine. He can make a banana that could feed a monkey for a whole year. He can make Rhode Island the size of Texas. He could even make the world's largest Mickey Rooney. So there's another pop culture reference. And he turns that thing on and it makes noise, lots of noise. So then we see Herman and Lily on the couch and they're cuddling. Herman is like, he's really agitated and he's like, what is that? And it's just like, it's Grandpa. So he pulls some stuffing out. He destroys his couch. He reaches into the arm of the couch, pulls out stuffing and shoves it in his ears.
Yep. Efficient. That's the only way.
And then there's an explosion. And then we come back and we see Grandpa, Eddie, Marilyn. They're covered in soot. Well, Marilyn looks terrible. Grandpa looks terrible. We don't see Eddie yet, but he's hanging from the chandelier in the dungeon. I don't know.
Yeah. He got like blown sky high. Yeah.
Yeah. And Grandpa's like, well, I'm not using enough electricity. That's the ticket. More electricity.
More power. Yes.
So then we go to the police chief and he's got a bird and the bird's on his head. I'm like, all right, he's feeding a bird. And then the commissioner is talking to the guy that was obviously on the phone, the dispatch guy. He says, I'm telling you, Commissioner, that's what he said, 9 feet tall and green. And the commissioner's like, oh, that's ridiculous. You must have misheard. So he goes in and the chief has a bird on his head, right? And this made me laugh. He goes, oh, hello, Commissioner. Just giving Edgar his din-din.
Yes.
Which made me
mad about this. He's really mad about this.
The din-din thing I thought was great.
The din-din awesome.
And he's like, what's all this talk about monsters, blah, 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 blah. And then we cut back to Lily and she's filing her nails. And she's like, Herman, aren't you coming to bed? And Herman is giving up. There's nothing he can do. to go to sleep except for walking in the park. And then she goes, have you tried counting wolves? And he's like, yes, of course I have.
Of course. The
But
first thing
Lily
I thought
doesn't
of.
want Herman in the park, right? That monster's on the loose. And then Herman says something that made me chuckle. He's like, in this enlightened age, people don't believe in fiends or monsters.
Mhm.
And then Grandpa blows something up again. And Herman's like, I'm out of here. Peace. I got to get out because I'm never getting any sleep around here.
Mhm.
Cut back to Grandpa in the basement with a 5.5 foot tall record. He's standing
Yes.
next to this record. And he's like, ha, Eddie, we'll make millions. And so then he steps back and he's got this like gun thing. And then he makes a pencil like 7 feet tall. And you're like,
Yep.
whoa.
And
then
the
Eddie's-
special effects is just a very bright light. And then whatever it is just now suddenly
Well, that's where
switched
they
out.
had to cut and tape it together, right? So they cut
Yeah.
and they tape the film together, and now there's a giant pencil. So then Eddie's like, I want to be as big as, can you do it to me? I want to be as big as Daddy. And then Grandpa's like, oh, yeah, sure. So he puts it on him, and then Eddie becomes semi-transparent and
Nope.
then shrinks down to about 6 inches tall.
He shrinks for whatever
Mhm.
reason.
And Grandpa says, I must have put it in reverse. And then he mumbles about war surplus parts.
War surplus parts. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
he built this out of
And-
parts that were built for World War II, but were
Mhm.
never used. So now they're super cheap, I guess. I don't know.
Well, tight on money, but he's got to save where he can. The electricity bills are getting too high.
Just real quick, and I don't know if I think I have this in the correct order, but like when they're about to go back down to the lab, is it Herman who, like, when there's an explosion, says, what in the name of Pat O'Brien?
I don't have that written down.
Oh, I think that was the commissioner talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, but like I still was like, what is that? What does that mean? Like I'm very confused.
There's a handful of things where I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But
Okay, so sorry. So I'm just kind of looking at the notes and I was like, I thought that happened right about there. But this thing with like Eddie getting shrunken down, Derek, I think you've mentioned this in a couple of our previous episodes where there is something that happens where you're like, oh, they're going to use this. It's going to be something that's
this
funny.
is important.
And this happens. I'm like, oh, this is going to be like, we got to get Eddie back to normal size.
Mhm.
And there's no payoff to this
Yeah.
like
Thought
thing
this
happening
would
at
be
all.
the B plot here.
yeah.
Well, I guess the invention's sort of the B plot, and I guess this would have been like the part that like the problem of the B plot. But nope, he just shrinks him down. It's like war surplus parts. Then we cut to Herman in the park. We had the good music again.
Mhm.
We see the lights are dimming in the park because of Grandpa, and then there's two people in the bush. You can't really see who they are, but like, here he comes, and then they jump out. And then you cut back to Grandpa messing with electricity. And then you cut back to Herman in super fast motion, blasting through the
Mhm.
door and then putting a bunch of crap in front of the door. And he went from playing like happy music to playing anxious music.
Mhm.
And he's like blocking the door with a cabinet and what are
Like the
those
clock?
called? The clock, yeah. Like
a
just
pillar,
whatever.
I think.
All sorts
Yeah.
of stuff. And Lily's like, what's the matter? But he's in like super fast motion. He's in that Babe Ruth running the bases speed. And he's like, and what's the matter? And Herman's like, don't worry, I'll protect you from the thing. It had 2 heads and 4 long blue arms. So when it said that, the
Yes.
blue arms, I'm like, oh, they're police officers.
Yep.
So then Lily tries to convince Herman to go to bed, and he agrees. He's like, fine, only if we can leave the lights on. Can we leave the lights on?
Mhm.
And then we cut back to the police, and this part really confused me because the police are there. They're both standing there. It's like they said, Chief, 9 feet tall and green. The chief is like in a bathrobe.
Yeah. It's like
Which
he
is-
like got called in to work maybe or something.
but he's
Yeah.
in his office. So he's in his bathrobe in his office. The chief's in his pajamas. And he tells him to get back out there. They're like, we don't want to go back out there. And then they finally convince him to go out. And then they're like, can you go with us or whatever? Can you walk us there? And he's like, get out. And when they slam the door, the ceiling starts to fall. So the chief grabs like the coat rack and puts it up there to hold the ceiling up. And then the commissioner walks in and
Of
catches
course.
him holding up the ceiling, which is kind of funny because it's like one of those like, or you lean in to keep the wall from falling down sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
so there he is.
Yeah.
He's holding up the ceiling, and he
so
even
weird.
says, "I'm holding up the ceiling."
Yeah. What a weird situation to be in. Like you have to hold up the ceiling. Like the bird one was weird enough, but it like made sense. But this one, I'm like, so they just slammed the door too hard and the ceiling fell apart. Like what?
I mean, this is kind of like but this is supposed to be, I think, as we'll find out eventually, this is a bit of like an escalation type thing. Like commissioner comes in, oh, bird on the head. Comes in, he's in his bathrobe holding up the ceiling, and that's a level up from a bird on your head.
Yeah,
getting its
the payoff comes.
In.
The payoff is come. So then the commissioner walks in. The commissioner threatens if to catch the monster, he'll have him out on like the worst like crime riddled beat there is, or something like that, and like this long threat. And the chief says, "Well, I promise to catch the monster tonight." And then we cut to Herman shaving, Lily making toast and brewing coffee, roasting a ham, and Marilyn has got some like hair drying bag on her head. And then the grandpa's in the basement with Eddie, who is normal size now. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
he's back to normal size.
Yep.
And
you're thinking that's gonna be important.
Yep, not important. Grandpa starts cranking up the electricity, and apparently cranking up the electricity makes things haunted. Because Herman's shaver starts to fly on its own. Toast shoots out of the toaster. The ham spins crazy fast. Marilyn's hair dryer like really blows up. Yeah. Lights in the park explode.
It's nuts. It's mass pandemonium. Is he using like the city grid's electricity?
He is. He's tapped in directly to the grid. I mean, he's using almost $1,000 of today's money in electricity every month.
Yeah.
For this invention of his. And then the police are getting grilled because they haven't caught this monster yet. And the chief says this: ingenuity, imagination, intelligence do not work. Therefore, I've decided to handle this myself. So,
all right.
And they have a box that's tied up with a string. And he's like, this is my secret solution. And I had an idea what it might have been. And when we get to what it actually is, I'll tell you what my thought was.
Okay.
By the way, I think we should get pins for the show that say ingenuity, imagination, intelligence just don't work.
Just do not work.
The Munster Hunters. Yeah.
Yes. Is that our tagline?
Mm-hmm. That was that might have been my favorite line from the episode.
Oh, mine too.
Because it like he's trying to give like it almost like he's trying to give like a big like speech to his men, but I'm like, ingenuity, imagination, intelligence doesn't work. You just sent some guys out on a stakeout. What's the ingenuity or imagination? hiding in the
bush.
Yeah, and they're not very smart. I guess I don't know. What's the imagination part that's not working here?
I don't know. So he's got a secret solution. Then we cut back to Lily. She's playing the organ. Herman's trying to read the paper. Grandpa is doing his electricity stuff in the basement still. And Herman's having a really hard time with Grandpa's noises. Not Lily playing the organ. That's fine. And the organ like shoots crazy dust out of it.
Yeah, it does.
It makes terrible noise. But the Grandpa's like basement work pushing Herman over the edge.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time with Grandpa's noises. And he goes, "What time is it?" And the clock goes, "At the tone, it'll be later than you think." Never more. Then Herman's like, "Oh, it's later than I thought," or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that late. I think something like
And then Herman's like, "Well, where is Marilyn?" Like, I don't know why that became a thing, but it's like, "Where's Marilyn at?" And then Lily says, "Well, Marilyn finally got a date." Well, the previous two episodes were all about Marilyn getting dates. This one, Marilyn finally got a date. And then he's like, "Where'd they go?" And then Eddie emerges from the fireplace for some reason.
He likes to hang out there, apparently.
Yeah, he does. And he's like, "Oh, they went to the movies and then for a walk in the park." And then in the park, Herman is pissed. He's like, "Eddie, why did you let them go to the park?" Like, it's Eddie's job.
I'm like
the child. He's like 8. This 8-year-old's got to stop 2 adults from going to the park.
Yep.
And so then he's like, "Well, you said there's no such thing as monsters." And Herman decides someone's got to go to protect Marilyn. And Lily's like, well, I'll do it. And Herman's like, no, fuck that. This is my job.
By the way, doesn't he say, like, Eddie specifically says, you said there was no such thing as fiends and whatever the other term that he used, like specifically, like tells him the same thing that Herman's used a couple times throughout the show, which I thought was funny. Yeah, like he's calling him out on that.
Yep. But Lily wants to go. Herman's like, nah, and then Eddie suggests taking Spot, and then Herman goes, Spot is afraid of his own shadow. And then we see a shadow of a creature that is not like the Godzilla we saw last time.
Nope.
No, last time was way cooler.
Yeah, and then it growls.
Yep.
And then Herman's like, come to think of it, I don't blame him.
I kind of agree with that, I guess.
So then we cut back to the police, and the commissioner is waiting on the chief. He's like talking to one of the guys, and then he's like, oh, he's in there working on some sort of secret weapon. And then it's like, oh, you can go in now. The commissioner walks in, and the chief is in drag. Straight up, he's got a blonde wig on, a dress, and a necklace, and makeup. I thought it was going to be a Herman Munster costume. I thought they were going to bring back a Frankenstein costume for him to go out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not that.
It was this. Yeah, I did not see this coming. I was like,
this is the Bugs Bunny attempt to catch somebody. Right?
Yeah, nobody ever suspects this move. I'll say that. If you want to catch me, you could probably catch me by doing that, because I would never see it coming.
And then Chief Harris, he has to like lift up the wig a bit and goes, don't worry, Commissioner, it's just me.
It's me. It's me under there. And then the commissioner breaks the fourth wall, and he looks
This was crazy.
And he goes, why couldn't I have been a fireman like my mother wanted me to? But he looked right at the camera and said it. Like, whop.
I was trying to remember on episode 1 or 2, does anybody really break that fourth wall? Because it is a slow, very blatant look at the camera. That I was like, that's just so like, because this is also like a guy who's really hasn't had a whole lot of lines and just shows up a couple times, like these moments.
Maybe this is like an Abbott trademark.
Yeah, but he very much is like it just came odd to me that like the first person who's going to break the fourth wall is somebody who's not in the main cast. It's going to be this guy. And his comment is why he should have been a fireman like his mother wanted.
And it's not even Commissioner Gordon. It's just a commissioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, this guy's like the Deadpool of the Munsters. He talks to the camera.
Yeah. So then Herman's in the park. He's walking. The chief's standing there in drag in the dark. And then they're walking, but they walk past one another. They just miss each other. And then the mugger sneaks up on the chief and grabs him. And the chief screams, and Herman goes, that's Marilyn. I know her voice anywhere. Which
I did laugh at that. That was pretty good. I like that.
So Herman runs up and grabs the mugger. The chief has been thrown to the ground. He sees Herman, and then the chief's hair flies off his head. And then he faints. And then the mugger looks at him, and then he faints. And Herman's holding like this passed out mugger, so he just hangs him from the tree by his belt. And then Herman runs off. He's like, I got to get out of here. So then, next morning, breakfast again. Grandpa's eating breakfast, and he wants more pancakes. And he's like, nope, you've had enough. The rest are for Herman after what he went through last night. And he goes, lucky stiff, which got a chuckle out of the canned audience. I guess
very
because
mad
he's a
about
Frankenstein monster, I guess. Lucky stiff.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But Herman, man, he comes down and he is pleased as punch, man. He has got a grin on his face, a strut to himself, right?
Yeah.
He comes down and he wants his pancakes.
He does.
And then Marilyn comes in and apologizes to Herman for causing so much worry. And then Herman's like, oh, no, blah, 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 blah. But the important part, while Herman's distracted, Grandpa enchants Herman's pancakes and makes them float off of his plate onto his plate. And I'm like, weird.
That was really weird.
The guy who's been downstairs tinkering with electricity and magic can make pancakes fly. Yeah. And they're worrying about trying to find money. Like, what, dude? Just like if you're a monster, just go rob the bank, make all the money float out to you. Dude, what's the problem here?
What can't this guy do? Honestly,
But
he can turn himself into chop liver. He can make pancakes float to his plate.
But Yeah, but he's bound by the laws of physics to some extent, electricity. Like, you just can't master that. So anyway, so Grandpa enchants their pancakes, and the Herman's like, the park was terrible. It was a hair-raising experience, and if you thought my hair was raised, you should have seen the bald-headed lady, which made me chuckle.
Yeah.
And then Grandpa's like, don't exaggerate. And then Lily suggests maybe there's something in the paper. And so Herman pancakes. Then this is the part that cements that Herman is an idiot.
Yes.
He's just straight up dumb. He looks down, no pancakes, and then he just assumes he already ate them. Yeah.
So he eats a little syrup off the plate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pats himself on the belly, and it's like very satisfying.
Hey, did you guys also notice? So when Herman comes down, he comes strutting in. Because again, Eddie is in the cabinet.
Yep.
He apparently just hangs out in the cabinet, but he walks over
and knocks on the cabinet.
But instead of doing like the Herman goes, and then Eddie responds back with the other thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this whole it's just they're adding into whatever is the most normal thing you could do or say. We're going to do the exact opposite.
Make it as convoluted as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then there is a story in the paper that solves the mystery. And then it also mentions that Herman, not necessarily Herman, but an unknown citizen helped apprehend the burglar, the thief. And then Herman says, Herman is a Blue Lives Matter guy. He goes, remember, it is the duty of every citizen to protect the police.
Is that our duty? Yeah. Herman
exactly.
loves this.
But it also mentions the paper that the police chief is getting a medal this morning, and that's what we cut to. And the commissioner is there talking to the police chief. He's pretty happy. He's chuffed with him. And he says, I don't usually like this eccentric behavior, but I do like the results. And he goes, do you know the citizen? Do you know who helped you? And the chief says, no, but I can describe him. He was about 9 or 10 feet tall, green skin, red eyes, and long arms. Then the chief looks in the camera again.
Yes.
Again.
Almost slow-mo, blatant look, and just holds a stare for a second. Kind of like we do at the streaming services.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But he doesn't say a thing. And then we cut to the chief, who is out in the desert walking the beat. I don't understand what he is patrolling, but he's amongst rocks and cacti.
And a payphone that he's on there.
Yeah. And there he is, just standing there.
Yeah.
So then we cut back to Grandpa in the basement. He just can't figure out the problem. He just can't seem to generate enough electricity. But Herman's there sleeping, right? And he's like, it did cure Herman of his insomnia. And it's like, how? It's like this giant sleeping pill he made with the machine. So that worked. He was able to make things grow.
Yes.
Just not enough things. I don't understand.
Yeah. Just doesn't work on human beings, I guess, is the issue.
But why do you need that? Just go buy a diamond and grow it up or, whatever. So, or sell the invention for millions of dollars, whatever. And so Lily knocks on this pill, which makes a very metallic sound. And it's like, how did he swallow that? He's like, oh no, he couldn't swallow it. I accidentally dropped it on his head. And that's what knocked out Herman. And that is what finishes season 1, episode 3, A Walk on the Mild Side. So first things first, no, the babysitter did not lose it.
No,
she did not.
I'm starting to suspect maybe she's gone. But
best chance was in the first minute with the grunting. I'm like, oh, Keith's gonna be right. Full frontal, here it comes.
Well, no, with all that noise, maybe then your guess would have been right. She's gonna walk in on,
or Terry's final guess where they're all getting it on because you don't know the babysitter has not come in yet. So because
Lily's just coming down. She could have walked right in on Spot and Herman and the babysitter. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But none of those things happened, unfortunately.
Dang it. So if you picked episode 3, folks,
it's still a family show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you guys think of A Walk on the Mild Side?
This might be my favorite episode so far.
Uh-huh.
I thought there's just a lot of fun stuff. The Chief Harris stuff and the weird like things with the commissioner, and like kind of like the one-upping, and then his like weird turn to the camera.
Yeah.
The ingenuity, imagination, intelligence line, like that all really kind of, plus this is the first one where like Lily's dating problems aren't like the main focus of an episode.
Yeah.
After the first two are like that. So I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah. Marilyn is not the driving force in this one, which is good. Herman is definitely an idiot. He just seems to be getting dumber. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was all right. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't like this one as much. I thought it was kind of, a lot of the jokes were kind of eye rolly to me. Once again, more funny when Derek was telling me about it than when I was watching it. But I did like the Chief Harris stuff. I actually thought he was a pretty fun side character. Even
the
if
bird thing was weird, and I thought the din thing made me laugh.
Yeah.
Like more than I should have laughed at it. I think, and I mean
the bird thing was another one of those like, kind of like maybe you thought it was going to be something bigger in the episode throughout, like, but like after he gives him din, we never see the bird again. I don't know if the commissioner makes him take it home or not or what, but
yeah.
And Eddie becoming short or Eddie becoming mini and then like not
that was
not
really
being
weird.
Resolved on screen was also odd.
Maybe that'll be a future plot line because that's gold right there.
Yeah.
Yep. But I also thought it was kind of weird that they kept describing Herman Munster with red eyes. I never really thought of that.
Yeah, they don't come across as red in the show, the black and white.
Yeah, it's also weird that they say he's got green skin, and you're like, well, it looks awfully gray, but okay.
Well, it's it's black and white.
I'd be interested in seeing the at some point in time watching that the pilot thing and seeing what all these folks look like in full color. Maybe Herman does have very red eyes if you see it in color.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Like
some contact work.
I feel like Herman's scary enough, as like Frankenstein. Like, why can't like Lily have red eyes or something? Because then that'd make more sense though if people were freaked out about her. I don't know, but that's
But I mean, okay, so we have more powers for Grandpa. He can levitate pancakes, cannot control electricity.
Yes,
we have those to add to the collection.
Yeah.
Lily displayed no powers.
He's not
Herman
my favorite.
was just big.
Yeah, and it also continues to add to this thing, and we're like, people are like, oh, there's this monster walking through the park. When it's obvious in the intro every single week, Herman is going to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do people not be? Oh, it's that Munster guy, or it's this guy that works at wherever. And like know him. Why is it suddenly this is like a weird like question mark? Is there more than one Frankenstein type monster that people would be a little confused with who you're talking about?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Or you think he'd because if he's going out every day, he's got to recognize that people are like climbing up telephone poles when they see him, and like, their pigtails are flying into the sky. Yeah, he'd be getting that all the time, judging by the reactions we see.
Yeah,
but who knows? Maybe he puts like a cloth over his head and then walks outside. We just missed that part in the intro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember anything from like watching this as a kid. I don't remember any like specifics. So like I don't know what Herman does for a living. I'm hoping we're gonna find out at some point.
I'm sure we'll find out eventually. But
what's he doing to scare up rent?
I don't know. Scare up rent and pay $103 electric bill. He's got to be making some cash.
Yeah.
But that's 3 down and only 67 to go.
Woo!
All right. Before we launch out of here, you guys got Keith, you got anything to tell the peeps about?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out a brand new other show that I've also got going at the same time called That Was Great, wasn't it? Where we're watching some old Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh boy, you
find that wherever you find great podcasts.
You're a glutton for punishment, man.
You're watching the Munsters and watching Saturday morning cartoons. Some are good, but some of those old ones, I don't know.
Not good.
No. That's about it.
Terry, how about yourself?
I do another show where we review movies every week. We do like categories of movies, like I think we've done like sci-fi movies, samurai movies, stuff like that. It's called Run the Reel. You can just find that wherever. Just look it up on any podcast service and you'll probably find it. So check it out if you want.
Excellent. And I will probably be at the local gas station a couple times this week, picking up a 12-pack of soda. And that's about
What
it.
kind?
Either that Dr. Pepper or the new Coke Zero.
Ooh,
And
okay.
if you see Derek while you're there, he will buy you a 12-pack.
Yeah, you have to point it out and be like, "Hey,
Yep.
aren't you the guy from Munster Hunters?"
Mhm.
And I'll be like, "Yeah, I sure
got
am."
me.
And,
Derek, there should be like a specific line that they should have to tell you.
well, I mean, if you walk up to me and you say, "Ingenuity, imagination, intelligence do not work," I will know.
Mhm.
And,
And then he'll buy you a 12-pack.
I'll buy you a 12-pack of soda or beer. If you do that, I'll buy a 12-pack of whatever you want.
But it's a good deal.
So
I'm gonna have to track
if you can
Derek
figure out what gas station it is and,
And
what
what I
day
look
Derek's
like.
there.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're just looking for the guy with a Diet Dr. Pepper
Yep.
and some Coke and some
And
Coke Zero.
The look of a man who's watched too much Munsters.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
he'll
right.
know. He's got red eyes. That's
Red
how
eyes.
you know.
I'm about 9 feet tall, green skin, long arms, and red eyes. Or I have 2 heads and 4 long blue arms. I'm one of those too.
Oh.
Yeah, but if you see me, I'll get you that 12-pack if you say ingenuity, imagination, intelligence do not work. But I guess until next time, did we agree that it's always hunting season, or do we have something different?
I thought I think that's all we had.
All right, it's always hunting season. The Munster Hunters are Derek Glascock, Keith Gawla, and Terry Vickroy. Keith is the host of the Pop-Up Filmcast, and that was great, wasn't it? Both shows can be found wherever you subscribe to podcasts. For more about Keith's shows, you can follow Pop-Up Filmcast on Twitter at Pop-Up Filmcast. And that was great, wasn't it? At How Great Was That? You can also follow Keith on Twitter at KG3030. Terry is one of the hosts of Run the Reel. It's a movie podcast that does deep dives on films with a theme. You can follow Run the Reel on Twitter at Run the Reel. You can also follow Terry on Twitter at Terry_Vickroy. If you would like more musings from me, you can follow on Twitter at Derek9 and the word 9. Follow Munster Hunters on Twitter at Munster Hunters and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice for more Munster Hunter fun. Munster Hunters is mixed and edited by me, Derek. All original music is composed and mixed by Terry Vickroy, and executive producers are me and Keith Gawla. The Munster Hunters is a Krispy Dodo production.